All right, let's do this. Hey everyone, I'm Gentrix and I got laid off. I know it sounds like I'm in a support group or something, but it's true. And if you clicked on this video, maybe you got laid off too, or you have been laid off before, you know someone. It's nothing new. It's as American as apple pie and accumulating debt. For me, getting laid off showed me that I don't really know who I am outside the context of my job. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm being so serious. Unlike me, maybe you already have a work-life balance. Maybe you've already figured out that your job should not be the one and only thing in your life. But for me, my job has always come number one. It's always been work first. My job was my identity. And so when it was taken away, I didn't really know what to do. But also, it opened up this whole world of possibilities that I didn't even think of. With this platform, I want to take you on a journey to figure out who I am, what it is I actually want, and how to deprogram all these beliefs that I've been raised to believe. In this conversation, in this episode, I'll be talking about getting laid off, what I found out about myself, as well as what my plan is for the next year. And I hope in sharing my experiences, my processes, my fuck-ups, that you'll also be able to figure out who you are outside of the context of your job. I was thinking maybe this is just a quarter life crisis as I barrel surely to my 30th birthday. But honestly, this entire experience has been having me rethink everything, absolutely everything. So let's get into it. Like I said, this platform was really born out of getting laid off and sitting at home and realizing I don't really have an identity outside of my job, which was really sad. It bothered me. For the past 8 years, I have put my job at the forefront and everything else kind of came second. And maybe some of you can relate. As a high achiever, I wanted to make sure that I reached the top, I was the pinnacle, and I was the best at what I did. I made this channel because I was kind of sick and tired of that mentality that we've been indoctrinated into, which is finding that dream job, finding the thing that you're basically sacrificing everything else to do. Listen, if you love your job, you love talking about it 24/7, you feel that it is a big part of who you are, then that's fantastic. But for me, that's not what that was. But for everyone else, honestly, think about it. When I ask you the question, who are you? What comes to mind first? Genuinely, what are the things that you value the most? Who are the people or the things that you like to occupy your time with? What are the things that you've been told that you're now just finding out is a load of BS? Don't get me wrong, I love being a journalist, but making it my entire life was the issue. So much so that I missed out on valuable time with family and friends. And I think that's more a reflection on society, if anything. Think about it. When you were a kid, you were asked, what do you want to be? What do you want to do as a kid? And of course, we'd reach for the stars and say some shit like astronaut or doctor. And then we'd grow up and realize maybe we don't want to do that. We're never asked, who do we want to become? What do we want to learn? If anything, those 12 years in school don't even teach us how to function as a human in society. I remember going to college and thinking, okay, bet I had all this learning and stuff. Now everything I learned in school is going to come to fruition in college. No. Also, think about it. When you meet someone, what's the first question you ask them? Say it with me. What do you do? Why do we care? Does a person's profession really matter? Is it going to change how we talk to them, how we perceive them as a human being? Unfortunately, for some people, it does. Because let's be real, I think there's an unspoken rule that some jobs are just a little bit more important than others. You can literally see it in people's faces when someone says what they do. If someone says, oh, I'm a doctor, most people are like, oh, wow. Oh, how many years of med school did you do? Da, 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 da. On the flip side, someone says, I'm a janitor. Oh, okay. That's nice. It's so messed up. We need to change the way we talk to each other. So now I want to talk about getting laid off. Yes, I got laid off from my network TV job, but many companies are laying off their employees recently. It's nothing new. You probably got laid off. You probably know someone else who did, in which I say, welcome to the club. Surprisingly enough, I thought I would be devastated by this news. I thought I would be moping around my apartment crying, why me? Jesus, I don't want to be one of your strong soldiers this year. I really don't. But I was relieved because for the first time in a long time, I got to breathe and to think. In the go, 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 go world of TV, there's really no time to stop and think. Y'all, oh my gosh. Such a burden was like taken off my shoulders for the first time in 8.5 years. I could not believe it because y'all, your girl was running on E. I was running on fumes. I was running on coffee and sparkling Celsius drinks, okay? Because I don't know if you know this, but network news is fast-paced, no nonsense, and endless. One story after the next after the next. And with this 24-hour news cycle that the industry is now in, producers like myself find ourselves stretched thin, having to create content for social media, for streaming, for all these platforms that we now have to keep up with. In fact, I spoke to producers who've been doing this longer than I've been alive, and they said it has never been like this. You used to have kind of a work-life balance. You go to work, do your job, go home and cook dinner for your family. Before I got laid off, I was working as a news gathering producer. That basically means that when there's breaking news or news of day, I drop everything and take a plane, train, car, whatever mode of transportation and go to the source of the news. I would work with correspondents and audio camera crews to then put that news live to you guys. So when you see those people out in front of the courthouse waiting for Trump to get out, that was me. When we see those people at the memorial sites for shooting victims or whatever, that's me. And I'd be on the story anywhere from 1 day to a week. So that go bag, the bag that I packed in case I need to go, was so crucial. There was one time though where I forgot my go bag at home and I just had to go. I may or may not have worn the same outfit for 4 straight days. Don't you dare judge me. Don't you dare. I had to do what I had to do. But that was the nature of the job, you know? When you have to go, you gotta go. And as burnt out as I was, I loved being out in the field. I loved talking to people. I loved telling their stories and giving them a voice. And I love being at the center of history. Literally, journalism is the first draft of history. All that to say, after 8.5 years, your girl was exhausted. And then I got laid off. This is when I had a moment to just breathe and realize that I had been so tired for 8 years. And in fact, when I sat and thought about it some more, it has not been just 8 years, it's been 12 years. Ever since starting college, I made it a point that I would not make my parents pay for anything, not a thing, and they haven't since. Wait, maybe 1 or 2 times. But I made it a point that they would not have to pay for anything, so I was working. I was lucky enough that I didn't have to work during high school. I had extracurricular activities, and me and my older sister had to take care of our 3 younger siblings. For those of you who are older siblings, I think you can relate. While your parents are at work providing for y'all, you guys have to pick up, the burden and take care of everything else. And so after I turned 18, I swore to myself that I would not make my parents pay for anything. I would just take care of everything. I'm the second oldest of 5 kids, and I'm like, y'all got those other 3 kids to take care of, I got this over here. Throughout college, I juggled a whole bunch of jobs. I was a desk assistant for campus housing. I was a peer advisor for the student advising department. I worked in the food services department at a nursing home in between semesters in my hometown. And I was an RA for 1 year, which I'll tell you that story at a later date. All this along with juggling minimum 16 credits a semester. That's how I was able to graduate a semester early. Again, a high achiever. I did it to myself. Oh, but the work didn't stop at college. No, this is where the real work starts. This is where the real adulting begins. After graduation, I freelanced a bit as a production assistant, or otherwise known as a PA, for BET and Vice before landing my big network job as a PA. Thus started 8 years of working my way through the politics of network news. Oh, and I was ready, okay? In my media studies courses, they told us that if you weren't ready to sacrifice holidays, weekends, crazy hours for this industry, then you were in the wrong biz, babe. You can go do something else. So I knew coming out of journalism school that I would be working long hours for low pay. This is the only industry I've ever known. I've been studying television since I was a freshman in high school. And as a high achiever, you better believe I was gonna make it work no matter what. I even told my fam, I'm like, listen, holidays, those aren't a thing. Weekends, working them. What times? Overnights, most likely. So everybody knew. And another thing I knew going into this field was that I was going into a predominantly white male industry. That meant I needed to work 3 times as hard. I mean, no surprise there. I've been doing it my whole life. Any black girl can tell you this. I'm not joking when I say people will constantly question my skills. Oh, how are you able to shoot so well? I learned it. I've been shooting since I was a freshman in high school. How'd you learn how to edit? Because I know how to edit. Like, you know what I mean? It's these little things. And it's just these little things of people kind of questioning what you can do when you can clearly do it better than White Bob over there. No offense, White Bob. But yeah, offense actually. Because he didn't have to work as hard as me. That's just the truth. I felt like I had to do more to prove to people that I can do what I went to school for. And unfortunately, this fact is still true. Year after year of this questioning honestly started to bring up the dreaded imposter syndrome in myself. And imposter syndrome is that feeling where you feel like you don't belong. Like somehow you have duped everybody into believing that you can do what you can do. Like here, the definition of imposter syndrome via Google is a psychological experience that causes people to feel anxious and doubt their abilities, even when they are performing well in objective ways. Here's another one. That uncomfortable feeling you experience when you think you're unqualified and incompetent. You might look around and assume everyone knows what they're doing except you, and if you achieve something good, you'll chalk your accomplishments up to good luck. Oh my gosh, what a character breakdown. That is insane. But that's how working in the field started to make me feel. And then slowly by slowly, its bestie anxiety came through as well. After 5.5 years of my first big network, I ended up moving to another one, a top morning show. And here I thought, okay, bet, look at this. I'm leveling up. Imposter syndrome is going to go away. This is all, I've been working so hard to get to these high levels. No. If anything, it got worse. The new gig made me doubt myself and my skills even more. I mean, we're talking about top morning show. And I'm over here feeling like, what am I doing here? What am I really doing here? And don't get me wrong, I was producing great content. They called me the tapes queen. So tapes are the stories that they go out and shoot, they write it, they come back, they edit it, and then they put it out. Those are tape stories. I was the tapes queen because I was really good at it. I was really good at putting together a good story. So you can see how the reality and what was going on in my mind just weren't jiving. Here I am today, 7 months into unemployment, and I want to share with you what I've learned about myself in these 7 months. Well, the biggest thing that I learned about myself, which is the entire theme of this episode, is that I didn't know who I was. If you were to ask me, Gentrix, who are you? The first thing that would come to mind would be journalist. That's how I've always described myself. Or if not journalist, I would say producer. I start off with my occupation right off the bat. I mean, that's how I was programmed. My job title was even in my social media handles. I mean, looking back, it's so cringe because I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? Why would anyone care what I do for a living? But okay, I can't think of one thing though that would justify it, is that whenever I would reach out to potential guests or people that I want for the show, it would help them to show that I'm an actual journalist and I'm not just, some random bot reaching out to them on social media. My social feeds were filled and still are filled with my work samples. There were more work samples than me actually living my life. And it wasn't until I got laid off that I didn't know how to answer that question. Who are you? Who am I? Growing up, there was always an emphasis put on jobs, finding the dream job, climbing up the ranks, being a boss bitch, all of that. And as an immigrant, we have learned to work 10 times as hard as anybody because nothing is owed to us. So we have to work for literally everything. And also the immigrant mentality of finding that safe and secure job that can help you feed your family. Looking back, I don't think I could even imagine bringing a bee to my Kenyan parents. I mean, looking back, it probably would have been fine. Like, I think I put more pressure on myself than they actually put on me. But there was just such a high bar that I set for myself that anything below an A was unacceptable. I also realized that I relish in praise, bro. I'm a fiend for some compliments. Okay, whenever I got an A, whenever I was complimented on my good segment, that was a dopamine injection right into my veins. Probably need to go see a therapist about that one, but there's a lot of things I need to go see a therapist about. And so I made work my number one priority. I had to be perfect. I could not be blacklisted as that incompetent producer. I said yes to all the assignments, weekends, holidays. It didn't help that I worked overnights for 5.5 years starting out. So my clock is jacked up. 1 a.m. is my most productive time. It's crazy. All I've known is what's my next assignment? How can I become a better storyteller? And what can I do to continue leveling up? I got to the point where my job and my identity were so intrinsically connected that I couldn't even tell you who I am. Like, when I think about who I am outside of work, I genuinely draw a blank. But let's put our thinking caps on, right? And if I were to answer that question now, I would say I'm a runner. I'm a devoted family member. I love my family. A caring friend who probably needs to do better in reaching back out, and a great partner. But I would say the answer to that question is still in progress. Yeah, I still need to work on it. But I think those are my top 4. Those are definitely my top 4. Family, friends, partner, and running. I love running. Another point getting laid off helped me realize is that my confidence is in the garbage. I need to raise it back up and suppress the self-doubt. This is where that imposter syndrome and anxiety come back in. Over the past 8.5 years, I feel as if that's just built up. I felt like this imposter, like I'm not meant to be here. I'm just like waiting for someone to call me out as a fraud, which is insane because it's not true. My work speaks for itself. And though I don't, need validation, I've had that validation to show that. And it just makes me so upset because I used to be so fearless. I never cared about what anybody thought, and my confidence was through the roof. The imposter syndrome has gotten to a point where at this point it's self-sabotage. I'm stopping myself from achieving greatness before I even take the first step. How are you going to do anything if you're even afraid to take the first step? And there's a story that I always love going back to that my mom told me about when I was younger. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. We'd recently moved to the United States. And so the family went to go to the zoo. Well, this is when we lived in Kansas at the time. Yes, I lived in Kansas, one of my favorite states. And so we went to the zoo, and I remember it was me and my mom. We were looking at whatever animal, and some lady came up and said something to me. At this time, my English was really not that good. So I had my mom translate, and she goes, "Oh, that woman said you're beautiful." And I looked at her and I was like, "I know." What a brat, right? But that's the kind of confidence I'm talking about. That's the kind of confidence that we need for someone to tell us something, that's great. It's a compliment. Thank you. But I know, And so that childlike wonder and that childlike confidence is something that I feel I need to get back to, because who told me that I'm not? Like if someone were to come and tell 29-year-old Gentrix, "Oh, you're so beautiful," I'd be like, "Oh no, I mean, and I have this pimple here and I'm not really having a good day, all these excuses. Like, what the heck? No, I should be able to be like, "Yeah, I know." Or, well, let me not be rude. Let me say thank you. And then say in my head, "Yes, girl, I'm slaying today." This year, I'm making it a point to increase my confidence and choke that little voice that says that I'm not good enough. Please drop a comment if you can relate to that one, okay? Another revelation I found, and one that I think is my favorite that I want to work on, is that I've been wearing a mask. Only my close friends and my family really know who I really am. But to the rest of the world, there's a mask. There's a persona that I put on. And this goes way outside the work context, really. So let me explain. I always say when my family moved to the United States is the first time I found out I was Black. I come from Kenya. If you're a Black person, you go to Kenya, I promise you, you will live as yourself for the first time. Because it is only when I moved to America where things are literally black and white that I'm told to my face, I'm Black first and I'm Gentrix second. Wow. So in order to fit in and assimilate, I had to take on a different persona. I had to become someone who was a bit more digestible for everybody. And by everybody, read white people. There are already so many stereotypes put on Black women that I didn't want those put on me. So I decided to become someone else. And let's be honest, those stereotypes were still put on me. So I guess that in the end, I was really just lying to myself. So I became likable and agreeable in conversations. I had a open and happy demeanor to the point where I'm like, why am I smiling so much? Like my cheeks hurt. I hold my tongue in certain instances when really I want to tell someone that their idea is dumb as fuck. But you can't be that blunt without being perceived as like mean or aggressive. So in recent years, I've become more aware of this fake persona that I've created and that I've built up. And I hate her. She's not cute. She's people pleasing. And she's not being honest to others. And she's not being honest to herself. It's made me wonder, why am I so afraid to voice my opinions? Why do I need people to like me at all? I don't know. That's one of the major ones. That's one of the major things that's going to change this year. That's why I say it's my favorite, because it's the most nuanced. It's not just, I put on a mask just so, I could, get through. But I put on a mask for survival mode. And now that I'm realizing the realities of the world, I don't care for it anymore because it doesn't serve me anymore. I will be blunt with you. I will be honest with you. And I will be my true self. A big point I realized in these past 7 months is that I can achieve anything. I am curious by nature. That's what makes me an artist. I love asking questions. I love learning new things. And in doing so, I can literally achieve anything. Okay, here's an example. After I got laid off, I became a notary in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I know, I sound like such an old hag. Like, what even is a notary? A notary is basically fraud prevention in the United States. It's that person you call up whenever you need to get something notarized, like an affidavit, a power of attorney, wills, real estate documents, any of that stuff. That person that you either go to at the bank or they come to you and they stamp it and they make it official. That's me. I'm a notary. And I was so excited to get a course and become a notary. So much so that I became one in 2 states, New Jersey and Pennsylvania. But whatever. And now I have a functioning notary business that I've created. I poured over legal documents, hours and hours of courses and videos and just teaching myself, because believe it or not, even though this is fraud prevention for the US government, they don't really have official training for it. So you have to go out and train yourself and then go out and stamp things legally and hope you don't get sued. Come on now. But me, I was determined to be successful. So I took hours and hours of courses. I poured over legal documents until I was set. And now I have a functioning notary business. Literally, people call me up to notarize their documents and I just go to them and do it. It's so fun. Who thought pouring over legal documents and understanding what affidavits and different loan documents would be this exhilarating? But that's what I say. I'm curious and I'm a nerd and I love it. I can do anything when I put my mind to it. I'm a self-starter through and through. You can't tell me I can't do anything. In fact, I taught myself a lot of things. I taught myself how to edit on Premiere, taught myself how to shoot, basically. I taught myself, listen, in this world of YouTube University and Google University, if you don't know how to do something, that's on you. Because the information is out there. The information is free. We're in the information age. And so when some people are like, oh, I don't know how to do it, I'm like, girl, Google that. It's not that hard. It's really not. You can achieve anything too. Let's say you want to get into doing hair. Do you know how many hair tutorials there are on YouTube? How many influencers have been doing this since 2010? My little sister used TikTok and YouTube to learn how to apply her makeup on herself because she's now a theater major. And you know, sometimes they don't know how to do certain people's makeup. So she taught herself. And now she's like this little makeup guru who is teaching me how to do my makeup. You can literally achieve anything, I promise you. A gem I discovered is that I'm way more creative than I remembered. It's almost like rediscovering that thing that you used to do when you were younger and just like falling in love with it all over again. I remember when I was younger, I would write like fictional stories. And even though it was just my mom and like my friend who read it, I was convinced I was going to be a New York Times bestselling author. But it was just creativity abound, just story after story and just letting my thoughts flow. And there was no restrictions at all. In fact, even for this channel, I have so many ideas of videos that I want to bring to you guys. So many guests that I want to bring on to talk about their experiences, who they are outside of their jobs, just so maybe we can learn a little bit more for ourselves. So many new activities that I want to try. There are so many places I'll be going to this year alone that I'm just like so excited for. And so this freedom and the liberty to be creative and express it that way, that's what gets me so excited. Well, those are the things that I've learned so far by myself in the past 7 months. And I'm excited to see what this next year is going to bring. Because when we think about it, at the end of our lives, we'll be remembered more for the things and the people that were important to us, not the work we did. Hopefully you learned a little bit about yourself listening to the points that I've made, or maybe you resonated with something. Please leave me a comment. I'd love to learn more about what you've been through. Or you can also leave me a voice note on Outside of Work Official on Instagram. And I'm not just going to leave you by dumping my whole story on you. I'm going to leave you with some tips to help you figure out and have these conversations in your head of, okay, who am I? Where do I even like start? You know, don't you worry. I wrote down a list on my handy dandy iPad, which by the way, can we just like give a shout out to Steve Jobs for this invention? Well, Steve Jobs and his crew for this invention. I use this bad boy for everything. All right. YouTube, Netflix, notes, literally everything. It's just the best invention ever. And for my friends who know me, I'm an Android person through and through. I don't care for Apple products, but the iPad, phew, Steve Jobs killed it with this one. He put his foot on this one. Anyways, enough of my love for the iPad. Here are some tips that you can use to try and figure out maybe who you are. Reflect on personal values and interests. Take time to consider what truly matters to you. What are your core values and interests outside of work? Journaling or making lists can help clarify this. So I wrote down a list. I value my family, my boyfriend, and my cat. His name is Dexter. I'm interested in reading at least 3 books this year. This might seem easy for some of y'all, but I am a chronic book starter and a chronic not book ender. Like once it took me a year to finish like a whole book. It was so sad. And so now I'm going to work on that. I have 2 books that I will finish because yes, I did start them and not finish them. My goodness. I also want to travel a lot. I love traveling. My friends also know this about me. I have a destination that I go to every single year with my travel partner, Audrey. Shout out Audrey. And so I want to do a lot more of that this year. Engage in hobbies and activities. Rediscover old hobbies or try new ones. Whether it's painting, hiking, cooking, or playing an instrument, engaging in activities you enjoy can reveal a lot about your passions and talents. So my boyfriend and I joined LA Fitness and we took up racquetball, like literally went out, bought the rackets, got the glasses and everything. And we're out there hitting that ball against the wall. And it is so fun. Like it is so completely out of the norm of anything we would usually do. And so practicing it together and learning it together has been really exciting. My little sister, she works as a waiter and one of her regulars bought her a viola. Listen, back in high school, she played the viola from elementary all the way to high school. And that was just rented because who can afford these expensive ass instruments? And so she hasn't played since like college. And so she told her regulars that, this is a thing that she used to do. She loved it. She doesn't really do it anymore. They gifted her a viola. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. And so now she's like rediscovering her love for it. She's like playing all these like different songs on it, anime theme songs, like just rediscovering why she liked it, repositioning it and everything. And so for her, that's the old hobby that she used to do that now she's like finding love in again. Yeah, another thing, I'm gonna try and push myself to join a double Dutch team here in Philly. It's called Philly Girls Jump. I actually ran into one of the members when I was going to get my car back when it was towed. I don't want to talk about it. So I went to go get my car back and she was wearing this like Philly Girls Jump shirt and I was like, something in my head was like, that's totally double Dutch. Like, it's gotta be double Dutch. I asked her and she was like, yeah, we meet every Thursday over by like the Rocky statue, the art museum, and come out. Anybody is, able to come. So I'm like, oh my gosh, should I go? I haven't mustered up the courage yet, but I will. Before the summer's over, y'all will see me double Dutching, looking a fool, but it's gonna be so much fun. My friend Brianna, she joined a running club in DC. I got her into running when I convinced her somehow to do a marathon with me in Rome. Well, long story short, I ended up jacking up my knee because old age is a bitch. And then she ended up doing it anyway herself. And she killed it. Like she discovered that she actually likes running, something that she never even thought of before. It was just exercise to her. And now it's therapy because running is therapy. And so she's part of a running club. She has people that she goes and joins up with and they do all these workouts together. That's something else you can consider, Spend quality time with loved ones. Relationships with family and friends can provide insight into your personal identity. Spend time with those who know you well and remind you of who you are beyond your professional role. I'm making a concerted effort. If I say it any more times, y'all are gonna get mad at me, but family means so much to me. And I'm making a concerted effort to make up for that time that I missed sacrificing to, level up in the media world. I'm not missing another graduation. I'm not missing another party, another birthday, another nothing. I'm gonna be there. And in fact, I'm gonna be more proactive, not just, showing up at the special events. I'm showing up every day. I'm showing up and checking in. I'm showing up and saying, hey, you want to go grab dinner? You want to go for a walk? You want to do this? Because that's important to me. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that I am committing a lot of my time to my family. Also, let's be quite honest, your loved ones really don't give a fuck about your job. In many cases, they don't even know what you do. My family did not know, not my family, my parents didn't know for a long time what I did until one of my pieces finally aired and they were like, oh, you mean news? I'm like, yeah, man, like, what do you think this was? So they're like the best people to take you out of your job and put you back into yourself. That is, if you have a relationship with your family, that'd be something to consider. All right, another point, volunteer or join community groups. Volunteering for causes you care about or joining community groups can help you connect with like-minded let's try that again. Volunteering for causes you care about or joining community groups can help you connect with like-minded individuals and discover new interests and values. Maybe you want to be more involved in church, Maybe there's a gardening club you've always wanted to join. Maybe there's a volunteer organization that you've been putting off joining. Do it. Do it now and do it quick. My favorite point, travel and explore. Okay, traveling, even locally, can expose you to new experiences and cultures, broadening your perspective and helping you learn more about yourself. Bruh, I love traveling. It is like, especially in America where everyone is just like siloed in their own beliefs and in their own groups and all that, traveling lets me get out of this country, be Gentrix, and learn something about someone else's culture. That's why, like, when I go on vacation, you will not find me on these like little resorts because that's just a place for tourists. I'm not going to be touristy. I will be one of the people when I go to a different country. I want to eat the food you eat. I want to take the train and subways and stuff that you take so that I can learn more about yourself. Because all this other stuff, I already do this in America. And for me, traveling is about learning and exploring. For other people, it's about relaxation. So if that's you, do you, boo. That's another great thing. You need to travel because when you relax and you get away from work, that gives you time to like think about other things or think about nothing and read that book that you've been putting off, like me. I mean, like I said, my travel partner, Audrey, and I, we make it a point to visit one country a year. That's it. That's all you need. Hopefully just get a passport first, but one country a year. Even when I was dead broke, I would save up all my money so that we could buy that cheap flight and get that, hotel and stay and like explore something. I've been to so many countries so far. Dubai, Singapore, South Africa, Malawi, Puerto Rico, Aruba, Ghana. Jeez, the list is going on. And this year I'll be in South Korea, London again. And where else am I going? Oh, Paris. Oh my gosh, how could I forget that? And so I'm so excited for this travel season. Another thing you could do is practice mindfulness and meditation. Regular mindfulness practices or meditation can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, promoting a deeper understanding of yourself. All right, this is what I'm working on this year. I actually got a book. Oh, it's not here right now, but it's a book called How to Be Idle. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I literally don't know how to be idle. The way I function is by filling up my plate with a whole bunch of tasks and to-dos and stressing about it and then doing it and then that's it. No, this year we are going to find peace. I'm going to do yoga, even though it is so boring. It is so boring. But I know that it'll help me like with my muscles and my back that hurts. I want to start meditation. I have a friend who's Buddhist and he gave me this chant that he said to do every morning, just 5 minutes, or even any time during the day, just 5 minutes, and it'll bring you like inner peace. So I want to try that. I know I'm not Buddhist, but I want to try it anyway. And so in finding mindfulness and peace, what more can you unlock about yourself? What other thoughts can you unlock when you're not crowded with so many other thoughts? It's something to consider. Seek professional guidance. Consider talking to a therapist or life coach who can help you explore your identity and set personal goals outside of your career. When I was doing therapy a couple of years ago, I remember how it helped me to really put things into perspective, right? That not everything is out to get me. That it also exposed a lot of errors in my own character that maybe I didn't think about or I didn't notice. And so speaking to a therapist or a life coach can really help you get that clarity that you need about who are you at your core. It's some deep stuff. Oh, I love this one. Read and learn. Engage with books, podcasts, and other resources on personal development and self-discovery. Learning new things can open up new avenues of interest and self-awareness. Y'all, I love a podcast. I love a YouTube channel that like goes on for like an hour talking about a certain topic. Okay. I started binge like listening to podcasts and YouTube channels about how to be an entrepreneur, how to basically get rid of the old ways of thinking and put in new ones that will help you more, because those old ways of thinking are meant to make society function, but they're not necessarily to help you achieve your goals. And so that's something that I'm unlearning and relearning. It's so exciting. I love it. And then on the other side, y'all would think I'm like a serial killer or something with the amount of true crime and paranormal podcasts I listen to, but I love it. I freaking love it. I mean, hey, whatever. What can you do? And in one sense, it's entertainment, but then also as a woman, bruh, it's teaching me how to protect myself out in these streets. Y'all are crazy. Oh, this one right here. Set personal goals. Establish goals that are unrelated to your job. This could be anything from running a marathon to learning a new language. Achieving these goals can boost your confidence and reveal new aspects of your personality. English. Running a marathon is on my list. Like I said, I busted my knee back in February. Actually, I think it was back in December. I busted up my knee before I was supposed to run the Rome Marathon with my friend. But fret not, We signed up for a half marathon in September, so I'm going to be training for that. And then as far as a marathon, we'll just have to wait and see how my knee does. You know what I mean? Getting old is crazy. Like your body just starts betraying you and it's so rude. Maybe your goal isn't a marathon or even a half marathon. Maybe it's a 5K. Maybe it's learning how to drive stick, right? Maybe it's meeting one new person every month. You know, do something to push yourself out of your own comfort zone so you can see who you really are and who you can even become. We're going deep with this next one. Reflect on past experiences. Think about times when you felt truly happy or fulfilled outside of work. What were you doing? Who were you with? These reflections can offer clues about what brings you joy and satisfaction. I'll say it again and I'll say it again. My family, my friends, my partner, my cat, all those things fill me with so much joy, and I just want so much more of it. So you got to figure that out for yourself too. All in all, I'm super excited to go on this journey with you all. I'm so excited to see what we become a year from now. I don't know what that's going to be, but one thing I do know for certain, it will be our best selves outside of work. I'll talk to y'all later. Hey there, one more thing before you go. First, thank you so much for watching and listening. You didn't have to. You could have done literally anything else with your time. So I am so appreciative. Number two, if you liked what you heard or you resonated with anything, please like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things. All the links will be in the show notes so we can continue exploring this wild, weird, wacky, and awesomely wonderful world outside of work. Excuse me.